And so I can't wait to see what kind of weird things people decide to do. They're just, you know, where they're going to be is like, I was going to, I have a party supposedly going to tomorrow. I was going to go as like Roger Ver, just cut my hair short, have a Bitcoin shirt, and have the gi on, and then like a old and one of my old Taekwondo brown belts, and like put that on and just be like,
Yeah.
Bitcoin used to work, but now the fees are too high, and like, oh, and guess what? We are live. So hey everyone, welcome to another fantastic show. I am gonna hit the quick intro graphic real quick if I can get that out, and then we'll get going. So, hey everyone, I have the fantastic pleasure of speaking to what appears. Oh no, there you go. You moved a little bit. Frozen Man, Collin Enstad. I assume I'm saying that name correctly. Is that right?
Yep, nailed it. Colin Enstad. Like, I was gonna text you, but I'm calling instead.
Heh, yeah, I know. Host of Calling It Like It Is, which is a very, obviously named show. Your video seems to be a little frozen. It's kind of going, it's not going very
That's
fast. I wonder why
it's
that
it's
is.
still good on my end on my little box down here in Hangouts.
Yeah, maybe turn it off and on again, see what happens.
Turn it
But as
off and
long as
on
the
again.
voice works, because this will. There we go. It's
Cool.
sort of, whatever. As long as it's working, it's not working. It's all of the above. As long as you don't make any get frozen any really goofy faces, it's okay. But
Yeah,
this
good.
also does go out not live, but to a bunch of audio listeners. So hey, audio listeners. So I like to remind people of this cool thing right here. This is the Cointree crypto super chat. So if you go to cointr.ee/the desert lakes, and you can just leave a crypto donation with a message and it pops up live here. So if you want to ask me questions live on air, or, make fun of this freeze framey stuff we got going on here, absolutely be my guest. And it'll pop up there. Again, just like glorious capitalism, you have to pay if you want something. There's no free lunch. I mean, you can't actually say something in the live chat itself, but I can't guarantee I'll pay attention to that. Or or I'll just like chat in the live chat, hey, say it with money and maybe I'll pay attention. That's how this stuff works. So, we got a bunch of fun stuff to talk about today because it is always a crazy day in the crypto world. The first up thing is central bank cryptos. So, first off,
That's an oxymoron.
yeah, I think so. So it looks like what is it? What is this thing about the JPM coin? Let me actually read this. JPM coin, or JP Morgan coin debut marks the start of blockchain's value driven adoption cycle. Okay, okay, there, big guy. And then we have, of course, the new Huawei phones are getting set up with like a digital yuan wallet and stuff. And of course, all that comes on the heels of PayPal. PayPal deciding to add a whole bunch of cryptocurrencies, kind of, but you can't deposit or withdraw, so they're just kind of like semi-existent, semi-not. So, first off, what's your take on this push towards, institutions are coming, or rather, big institutional giants getting into the whole crypto world?
I mean, it's got to just be like a marketing ploy, really, because I mean, they say it's a central bank crypto, and that like each individual dollar, cent, or whatever is an actual individual
Mm-hmm.
unit, right? But like, just print more. Like, who gives a shit, right? And so I don't know. It just seems very contradictory to me. I think it is just like a marketing thing. Like, oh, we now have U.S. bank dollars, but it's just like a dollar at the end of the day. So like,
Mm-hmm.
at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if they put out their own coin because it's still going to be a digital dollar anyways. Like, what's the difference between it just like a number in your bank account? There's not a difference. It's just, to me, it seems like it's adding complexity to the banking system where it doesn't have any benefits at all. And so it's just got to be a marketing thing. I don't really know else
Yeah.
like what it would be really. Besides, the only thing I could see is maybe like cheaper ACH payments, but from the bank's perspective, they're not the ones actually paying for that, right? It's the
Mm-hmm.
customer paying for it. So I guess I could see maybe interbank transfers being cheaper, with this, but I don't know. It just seems like a marketing ploy at the end of the day.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, I'm trying to think about, because from my perspective, the reason why crypto and blockchain are cool is because they're decentralized tech. They let people actually do stuff in a decentralized, semi-trustless way, where otherwise you need one party to kind of do everything, and that's kind of the benefit you get from that. Now, I don't think that these companies or banks or whatever really benefit from that side of it. So what is it? Is it just a slow, expensive database? Are they leveraging a whole bunch of different partners, like say all the Fed branches, the Federal Reserve branches are going to be running FedCoin nodes, and it just kind of like diffuses the risk of like a one central spot? Like, are there some minor technical improvements that you kind of do there? I mean, to be honest, the banking system, beyond its centralized horribleness, does suck beyond that. It just so this is a little slight bit of a long-winded story, but a friend of mine was participating in there's this weird app called Dash Queen, which is basically a beauty pageant where you vote by sending Dash directly to these contestants. And so this friend of mine wanted to join up, and she wanted to have some of her friends, like the host families and stuff when she was staying in the U.S., join in and like help her. And so they were trying to go buy some Dash so they could vote for her in Dash Queen. And they did it through Uphold. Again, this is not an Uphold dump. They're a great service. But they had to wait 67 days to move the results of their ACH transfer. And I actually chatted with Uphold after that. I had them on the Dash podcast that I run every other week on the off weeks from this. And they said, yeah, you realize that like 65 days in or whatever, ACH transfers are reversible. Like the person on the other who initiates them can like reverse them like 2 months later. Jesus. And I'm like, who the hell uses this stuff? Like, what year is it? You know, it's like Robin Williams, The Beard. What year is this? I have no idea.
65 days. Jesus, I didn't realize it was that long.
Yeah,
that's so ridiculous.
And it's not all fiat tech is that bad, but a lot of it is that bad. So I wonder how much of that is like a technical overhaul, and how much of that is like a marketing gimmick to just say blockchain, but you can trust us, and no dark web.
Right. Or it's like almost like a defense mechanism. Mm-hmm. If like they hear actual Bitcoin, it's like, well, my bank does that too. Like I just use my bank's coin. You know, like
yeah.
So it's like preemptive shielding from actual crypto. It's just like, hey, we use our bank crypto. It's just as good.
That is pretty funny though, because been a few years, like 2-3 years ago, this YouTube persona comedian who does like the bro science live videos, Dom Mazzetti, he had this one line and one thing, just PayPal me some Bitcoin. And guess what? Like several years later, now you will be able to PayPal someone some Bitcoin. That'll be pretty crazy.
Right. Yeah. I actually saw a thread on cryptocurrency, r/cryptocurrency today, where they bought crypto today on PayPal. It's just like, I was on like screenshot that sentence, like, I bought crypto on PayPal today. Like, cool.
Yeah. So how much have you kept up with the PayPal integration thing?
Fairly closely. I did my last show on it, and like I did a show when they first announced it. It was in like June or something too. I just went through a bunch of like horrible maxi takes on it at the time, but that was like my number 82, and so that was in June. So I've kept up fairly closely with it.
Yeah. So have they actually provided anything regarding an assurance that there is actually crypto that they have, that when you buy some, so they know like we bought a whole bunch available and it's here, and even when you buy and sell, it just, the big pot of Bitcoin they have, they just say this belongs to this guy. They haven't actually confirmed that they actually own any of this stuff.
Right. So like what they really could do is just like, hey, you have Bitcoin, but you can't actually use it anymore. So like when you sell it, they either gotta take your losses or give out gains. Like, yeah, they really could just do that. They don't have any coins right now. And even when they do enable the actual merchant spending with it, where you can spend your Bitcoin and then it just auto converts to fiat for the merchant. Even then, they could do the same thing because nobody actually touches like private keys at all. So they could do the same thing then. The only time they'd actually need to hold any Bitcoin would be if people can actually withdraw or deposit actual coins. But so Yeah, at least Cash App has it.
Yeah, that was the someone mentioned that I forget who, some rando on Twitter, which is 90% of the people I know, is mentioned something about, just like with Cash App, they didn't have withdrawals or deposits initially, and then eventually they
Right.
enabled it. Like they might just be wanting to keep it all closed circle, until they can iron out the kinks and make sure that this stuff doesn't go off the rails, which is a
Right.
very optimistic thing. But I would probably subscribe to that. Like 60%, I'd be like, yeah, that's probably what they're doing. Although there's like, you know, remaining 20% is probably they just know people are never going to use BTC with like the horrific fees, so they're just going to not move it and then just move it on their internal ledger. So basically,
Right.
PayPal is Bitcoin scaling solution. Now, the
Right.
other 20% is this is all just a scam. It's kind of like Tether, where it's like, well, kind of backed by some sort of fake money, maybe, and it's just all like, okay, well, whatever.
Yeah, it's it'll be interesting because like if they do actually do withdrawals and deposits, I would say it's actually a good thing because you can spend your Bitcoin like so many places now. I don't actually have a PayPal account anymore, rest in peace, but so I can't actually try it out. But I think that would be a net positive if you can deposit and withdraw because it's like a stepping stone. Like I don't think this whole PayPal integration is a bad thing per se, but I don't think it's like a good thing either.
Yeah.
So they might. There's been no actual talk about deposits or withdrawals from PayPal like at all yet. So that's remained to be seen. Like they haven't even said, "Hey, we're going to do this in the future."
Yeah. Well, that's something that I've noticed is I'm pretty sure like the PayPal offering itself, other than having more people move in and out of crypto, which is is good for the price and stuff, it's more of a marketing tool for the crypto world. Whereas it's like, oh, even PayPal uses it because I mean, around here I've been spending crypto for many, many years. And a lot of merchants, they have to do some like they have to install a separate app that they switch to when they go take it. And it's the AnyPay app, which is a fantastic app. It works super well. However, it's still some of these point of sales, they can't like open a separate app. It just doesn't work. And so they're always the number one objection I hear with merchants. It's not volatility because we can convert. It's not customers because we promise a giant meetup to move through there. What their big thing is, can I integrate into my normal point of sale system? And it's always like, well, just treat it like cash, whatever. Just it's all, and half the time they'll mess with it, half of the time they won't. Now, getting integrated into things like I believe there's some work on getting into some things like some major point of sale providers, but as soon as PayPal's in there and everyone can take PayPal, therefore take crypto kind of the same way, then you can like I think what was it, Square or Clover Cake or one of those kind of point of sale things. They had a in their little app store thing that they have with plugins. They had like a no crypto policy. But once they have PayPal, now they have crypto. Now you can start getting other things in there. Now you can start talking to them. Hey, you want to take crypto? PayPal does that stuff, but this is just like easier.
Yeah.
And then, all right.
Yeah. That's hey. Here's your invoice.
Which, but shout out to not only AnyPay for doing BIP70 invoices, but also the Bitcoin.com wallet. We want pizza tonight. And I went and did it, and good thing he supported currency. You can just pay to that one, and it's just like it's pretty magical.
Oh yeah, that's nice.
Yeah. So on the subject of fake Bitcoin, we can't not mention Ethereum, right? So supposedly, nearly. So first off, that makes sense that like the biggest thing you'd want to do is Bitcoin. Everyone wants to do Bitcoin, but the fees are like what, like. Didn't they jump up like $15 on average today or something?
Yeah, they've been pretty ridiculous the last couple of days. Here, let me check. It's just like it's whenever people use Bitcoin just to speculate crypto in general. So when the volatility's up, the fees go up. It's just literally been a consistent pattern. Yeah, I'm looking at the mempool right now, and it's the next block fee is like 250 Satoshi per byte right now, which is probably about $10. Yeah,
of Ethereum. And I have no idea why, because the scaling problems Bitcoin has a much lower capacity. However, the scaling problems when they hit Ethereum hit them hard and fast.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
because of all the things that are automatically running on it. It just isn't just individuals sending and receiving. And I guess there's a lot of ETH 2.0 scaling hopium, whatever you want to call it, that I don't know if people are just basing it on that or they're just running on momentum. But like, why would you scale, it's just like, it's almost like Tether, backed by fake money, backed by a fake money, and it's like unscalable coin that's scaled by an unscalable coin right now. It's a little
Right.
weird how that shakes out.
Yeah, it's yeah, everybody's building on Ethereum because I think that's just where like all the degen money is going.
Hmm.
I guess I don't have any like better explanation for it. It's just it's always like the more simpler the explanation, the probably more accurate
Yeah.
it is. It's like that's where the speculation has been going. So I mean, if there's money in it, yeah, you're gonna build on it and try and get some of that money. So yeah, but the scaling problems are horrible. Like I tried some farming last couple months or whatever, just to get into the hypes here everybody's talking about. And
Yield
like,
farming, which is
yeah,
hilarious that just now everyone just shortens it to farming. Like I grew
yeah,
up on a cattle ranch. I was an actual farmer. Now this is all yield farming stuff.
yeah, exactly. It's
Hmm.
been shortened. And I mean, the gas fees on that were just ridiculous. And the thing was, the thing that makes Ethereum actually worse than Bitcoin in some respects is that your Ethereum transaction can just like be completely rejected if you don't have the right gas limit, and you lose all your transaction fees. And so basically what happens is if you send money or whatever to a smart contract and you don't pay enough gas to the miner, and they like try to go through the calculations of your transaction and they run out of gas, they don't get to the end of the calculations, it'll just completely drop the transaction and you lose your entire transaction fee. And so if your wallet, basically you have to pay more than you think you're going to. It's like worse than BTC because at least BTC, your transaction will just like sit in the mempool like forever until it gets confirmed someday when the mempool clears.
Hmm.
But ETH, it just like gets canceled and you lose your money. So like,
Yeah.
it makes me want to shit on ETH more, but it's like at least they're innovating, I guess. But
Yeah.
they're both just atrocious. It's just so bad. Like the current state of crypto is just transaction fees.
Yeah, which is kind of crazy. And like I remember back in late 2017 when the Litecoin fees went to like an average of $2 a fee transaction
Well,
for
wait,
like a
what year was
day.
that?
2017. It was
Okay.
back when every single college bro who was next to me in the bar was talking about how they bought everything on Coinbase and stuff. It was like
Yeah.
literally that. Coinbase got overrun. Bitcoin was like $50 a transaction or something awful like that.
Yeah.
Ethereum had a bunch of cats going through it, so that you couldn't do that either. And this the
Yeah.
next down the Coinbase list was Litecoin. So Litecoin got like 250,000 transactions in a day, and the fees shot up to $1 and $2 fees for a couple glorious moments. And then yeah, it was went back to when everything went back to normal, and now we're perma. This is interesting though because this is a perma congestion era for Ethereum. Ethereum used to have
Yeah.
like bad times, but now it's just all the time, like Bitcoin.
Right.
And I don't know how, like, half these Ethereum tokens are supposed to be scaling Ethereum, like OMG and Loopring and stuff like that, and Chainlink, but aren't they all ERC20 tokens that take gas? I don't understand how it works, but if they're all there, like, shouldn't they be scaling it by now?
Yeah, it's I guess I'm not sure on the exact process, but it's like the same argument when you
Hmm.
can use if like trying to get on a Lightning network, you have to open a channel and then pay an on-chain transaction fee. And so I think I mean, I guess if you buy like Link on an exchange, you're just like on the Link smart contract and then you
Hmm.
just transact in Link. I guess I'm not really sure exactly how that scaling works specifically, so I don't want to talk too much on it. But yeah, if your base is shit, like why are you building on it, right? You're not going to build a house on a foundation that is just like shitty. So you know, uh, again, it's like the more simple the explanation, the better, and that's what it is. It's just like what the fuck is everybody doing? And
Yeah.
it just permeates the fact that the majority of crypto right now is just pure speculation because if you're trying to use crypto as money, you're not going to pay transaction fees, and the top two coins are ridiculous transaction fees right now. So it's just crypto's just fucked. I don't know
Yeah,
how
right
to
now
say
it's a little goofy, which does remind me about something else I saw that supposedly about 24% of Ethereum is now on exchanges, and
That's a lot.
I mean, that's a lot. It means people are using it a lot. People are staking stuff. We're doing whatever. Uh, the thing that makes it interesting, so if 25% of Bitcoin was on exchanges, for example, that means that if something happened, there was a hack, people stole a bunch of money, they could then affect the price dramatically. But it's not a security threat. And the same right now it applies to Ethereum. But if you're moving to a proof of stake system, 25% is 25% of like governance and consensus.
Right.
So if you could just like, what if that number went up to like 50%? And then all you could have to do is, have state actors just talk to all the exchanges and just say, hey, start reversing transactions, change this thing. It's like, whoops. It's kind of like the China problem with mining. If you have like 75% of your hash rate going from, directed in China, there could be some issues where that could mess up with consensus at some point if there was, something going on.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely interesting because how much did you say Coinbase had? Or it was an article, it was like 7% or something like that of all Ethereum, Coinbase?
I think so. What I do remember more distinctly about Coinbase and their holdings is I believe they were, I don't know if you remember a couple of years ago, there was that headline that a single actor was supposedly moving around about like 60% of like Litecoin supply. It was something, it was the majority. I believe that was tied to Coinbase. And I don't think that Coinbase itself has it all there, but as far as all the customers, everything moving around, maybe they were moving with some other service, but and that's pretty titanic. And so that's one thing that I think we're gonna have to start figuring out is when you have proof of stake coins, which there's more and more. There's fewer and fewer, ones that are, what would you call it, like manual transmission coins, as it were, who run on trusty old proof of work. Now there's more and more.
Yeah.
Proof of stake ones. You're gonna have to start worrying about if those coins are all on exchanges, because remember Justin Sun's whole thing with the Steam collusion, where all the exchanges just like voted, and then he was like, "Oh, whoops, my bad. I thought we were just all doing this." It's like,
yeah,
what? It's like I think it's a textbook definition of embezzlement, right? Of taking funds that aren't yours and using them for another purpose.
Yeah, I guess you could kind of use that definition that way. Yeah, but yeah, it's just if there's that many coins on an exchange, if they're that big enough, and that many coins, they fall under U.S. law. Let's be real.
Yeah.
And so, like, if you're dealing in the hundreds of millions of dollars volume, like the U.S., you're under the U.S. thumb usually. Mm-hmm. And so, there's no reason why the U.S. couldn't step in and do what they want, throw a vote here or there. Otherwise, we shut your exchange down. So, yeah, that's definitely a concern. And again, it's just a symptom of the whole crypto industry being run by gambling.
Yeah. And by the way, we did just get a super chat of a great 50 cents of Bitcoin Cash from David Bond. He says, "Hey guys." All right.
Yeah, I just saw you posted an episode with him. Was it yesterday or something? I'll have to check that out.
I was trying to upload it earlier in the day, but it was yesterday, and then I shared it out today. Yeah, it was a fun chat. But yeah, so hi David Bond, or if you want to tag him on Twitter, hello David Bond. Yeah, he says in the other live chat he was testing it. Okay, well thank you. That's why you're such a cheapskate.
So I have a question.
Yes,
I have a question about Cointree. It says pending confirmations right there.
Yeah.
Why does it say that?
I don't know. I think Cointree is a project of the wonderful Naomi Brockwell and company, and it's not a for-profit venture. It's just like a fun little side project. And so I think that it's whatever APIs they use or whatever. I usually use Dash for the live chat thingy here. And if whatever APIs they were using recognized instant send transactions, it would be in under 2 seconds confirmed, right? But it just says pending confirmations. But I'm glad it shows up there anyway, because I mean, what kind of a jerk would you have to be to like double spend a super chat? Just be like, oh, $50. Wow, thanks. I'll definitely read your comment, which has like a is a vulgar comment or whatever, and you just take it
right.
back. In which case, I would maybe have to have like a rule where if it's BTC, if someone super chats me with a BTC, I gotta wait until it's got at least one confirmation
Still a
before I can.
confirmation. That's so stupid.
Yeah. And in case if you
Yeah.
did notice, I do check the messages before I display them on screen, because the very first time I made like a video on how to do this, someone sent me like a 2 cent donation with like a million N bombs in there. I had to go like delete that.
Jesus Christ.
It did not happen live, thankfully, so I just screen live just in case.
Yeah, I've gotten some stuff. I mean, I've used that tip Bitcoin.cash, which obviously is a little more limited on the coins it offers, but it was always funny in the beginning. Like I'd have like haters from BSV coming around, like sending me coins and stuff, and they would say stuff, nothing quite like that, but it was always funny when I was like on Twitch or something, and I would just like have the voice to speech on, and just like people talking shit about my mom and stuff. I was like, thanks, I guess, for sending me money to say that. Like,
Yeah, whatever happened to BSV haters? They used to be like a thing everywhere, and now they kind of quieted down, or they just stick to their own stuff, or maybe I'm just not on their hit list, so they're just not around.
I mean, yeah, it's probably part hit list. I noticed like I don't know if it's just more like they've echo chambered themselves more. I see a couple here and there. I know I blocked a couple of them just because they're always on your shit like talking. But yeah, I think they're just like echo chambered. I've noticed. I haven't followed them too closely, but I noticed they're like trying to rally against Craig now, and so they're like be like, oh, BSV isn't Craig and Calvin, like. There's a whole community of us too, but it's like, okay, like who controls the protocol though, dummies? And so that's always entertaining. Is that like, oh, these guys are frauds? Like, no shit. Welcome to 2018.
Yeah, that's a very, and this is like a several hour long subject, I'm sure. But like when talking about governance and what you decide and things like that, some people, like for example, I used to. For an example, and I don't want to go too deep into politics on this because everyone's going to go crazy on me. But I got, in the beginning, in 2016, I was like scratching my head as anyone likes this like Trump dude, because he's like, what the hell does he say? He sounds really dumb. He sounds like a mean person. Like, and like you can't support half these things he says, right? And then over time, I sort of realized that people are supporting for very specific reasons. So like, yeah, I don't care about all that stuff, but this thing is super important to me and I'm doing it. And so I think that we kind of thought that with the BSV split, a lot of people might have mistakenly thought that this was just people who bought Craig and Calvin's stuff. That just like, what was the end split of the hash rate or something?
I mean, it just settles to the price point at the end of the day. So it was probably like.
Is it like a 60-30? Is it I mean,
yeah, that's probably pretty accurate.
Or 70-30,
70-30. 70-30 would probably be accurate. Because I mean, I think the price settled like 300 to 200 ish around there. So like 2/3.
Yeah. So I don't think that was like a third of the Bitcoin Cash community was just like, this guy Satoshi, like awesome. And I know a few people in the BSV community, oddly enough, because I never asked for this, but it just it happened. My buddy Kurt Workert, who was on the first episode of this, he's a great dude. I don't agree with him on a lot of that stuff, but he's a solid dude, and like some other people. But there's a lot of people that just their entire reason for being in Bitcoin and then Bitcoin Cash and then finally SV is this Bitcoin originalism, where they didn't want anything to be tampered with, and the only thing that they wanted is bigger blocks that BTC didn't give them, and they just wanted to just build cool stuff on it. And for whatever reason, they didn't like stuff that ABC was doing. What was it? The canonical transaction ordering, or like, I don't even know what it was.
Yeah, that was like the, I don't know if red herring's the right word, but that was used as like the rallying cry, like ABC's rogue development team, which obviously, they kind of are now. But I think a lot of those people, I think it was like half Craig supporters and like half they just didn't like ABC. And the half that didn't like ABC, hey, come back to Bitcoin Cash in a couple of weeks.
That's gonna be, but that's gonna be interesting with the whole political thing of it, is how people, because people picked Craig, but that's not necessarily the number one thing they wanted for. Just like, we're going to build a wall, make the Mexicans pay for it. Like, a lot of people that voted for that guy didn't care anything for that message or those priorities. They just wanted other stuff. But they got both, right? So before we dive deep into this whole hash war thing, let me just, I got hit with a super chat from, once again, David Bond. He says, what's your favorite wallets? What are some features you must have? And what are some deal breaker? Some deal breaker. Okay. I don't know exactly what some deal breaker is, but I can probably guess.
What are some deal breakers?
So my favorite, I'm trying to think of all the ones I've been a fan of Edge for a while. In the early days, I liked Koinomi a lot. The big one, of course, is the official mobile Dash wallet is a big one. I like that one. It is very clean user experience. It's just really fast. You can, get to exactly what you want really easy. Now, as far as what are the actual deal breakers and things like that, first off, if it doesn't have, if it's just one of those things that has like Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum type thing, then that's it. If it doesn't have enough coins, it's either got to be the special for the coin that I'm trying to use, or it's got to have like a ton of coins. But the big thing, honestly, BIP70 support. And a lot of people don't even know what that means, but basically everywhere I spend crypto locally around me uses this point of sale system called AnyPay, which has BIP70 payment codes, basically. And most wallets now that I know of do support it. I know Edge supports it. I know the official Dash one does. I know Bitcoin.com's wallet does. I think Handcash does too. There's like a bunch of different wallets that do. Koinomi does not right now. So if you're listening, anyone with Koinomi, I do use your wallet, but I can't actually buy anything with it because you don't support this stuff. So, boo. That's like a big thing. I think it has to have that. It has to have a really easy way to just get to transact. So if I were to show, and I'll get, of course, Collin's input on these priors, the basic Dash experience from here. I hit the app, and then as soon as I open up, I can do a quick send or receive before I even hit the pin screen. So I can just hit a quick receive and someone pays me right there. So that is, it doesn't have to be just like that, but just having to go through 5 different screens just to use the one thing you want from this thing. It's like, no, why do I need to do that? Can't I just do what I want right away? So also, if you got a multi-coin wallet, I do like an integrated and really easy to use swap system, like an old school Shapeshift and stuff. So what are some of your things, Collin? What do you like in a wallet?
Well, it's got to be Bitcoin Cash.
Yeah.
I use Bitcoin.com wallet and Electron Cash wallet. That's really all I really use at the moment. I just don't really have any use for any multi-coin apps at the moment. I mean, I guess I have MetaMask for, when I'm doing some honest farming. But that's about it. There's not really, there was Badger Wallet a while as far as a web wallet for Bitcoin Cash. It's appreciated though and abandoned, but I think there's another one popping. I forget what it's called. I know the dev's name, but I can't remember what the actual wallet is called. So another mobile wallet for Bitcoin Cash is cool. Just like, I love being able to use like Ethereum to like log into stuff, MetaMask to log into stuff. I think that's awesome. And so web wallet's cool. BIP70 like 100%. Because I use BitPay. I use Cheap Air all the time for hotels and flights. So it's got a BIP70. And yeah, like you said, like going through all those steps sucks. Bitcoin.com wallet's awesome because you can create multiple wallets in it. I really like that. How you can just create multiple different wallets and kind of keep your funds organized a little bit. And then Electron Cash is cool just because it does every feature.
Yeah.
Like literally anything you could want. And so that obviously has BIP70. And yeah, I used Crescent Cash before, Pox Wallet, but it's a little clunky. The UX needs a little cleaning up. It's another mobile wallet, but it does have this really cool feature like instant send, where you literally just like, you turn it on and put like a, you just send zero comp funds. Oh, for sure.
Yes.
for sure. It has this instant send thing where you could put like a maximum of like $200. And then anytime you scan like a BIP70, it just like sends it like that, like no swipe or anything. I use
Yeah.
that in Australia a lot of times. It's just like at restaurants when I was going eating Bitcoin Cash stuff every day, twice a day. And that was really awesome. Just like literally move your phone over and scan it. So that was really cool.
Yeah.
So I
That
love that instance. And
that would be a very interesting. Now that it reminds me, that would be a really interesting thing because, as I showed with the Dash Wallet thing, you open it and you can just hit a quick scan or quick receive.
yeah,
And when you scan it, then that's when you put in the pin to send. But it would be good to have a pin threshold of if it's
Right.
like under or over this amount USD, then
Yep.
you need a pin or you don't. And that would be nice. But Electron Cash is so scary. Yeah. So is that the one with the coin shuffle in it as well?
yeah, the Cash Fusion is the fanciest one right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So God, wow, I just lost my train of thought. The instance said, yeah, I don't really like have any like pins on my wallets because my phone itself has like a lock on it. So I guess that kind of serves as my mobile wallet lock to begin with.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it also depends on how much money you keep on the phones, which is probably
yeah,
pretty
that's
minimal.
true. Yeah, no more than a couple $100 for sure. I mean, if
Yeah.
it was thousands, yeah, but I wouldn't do that anyways. So
Yeah, for sure.
Electron Cash it definitely needs a UX upgrade. I've been telling them they need a simple mode and an advanced mode. That's just like a flip of a switch that you can switch on and off, and then like a privacy mode to turn on Cash Fusion. Yeah, it's definitely scary. It's like something you'd put in a hacker movie for people like in their Bitcoins. Like,
Yeah.
gotta go through my Bitcoin wallet. Gotta choose the right coins and the right UTXOs to send.
That's the thing.
That type of shit.
I do use Dash Electrum, which is basically Electron Cash but Dash version, and
Right.
has all the
Right.
mixing and stuff in there too, and all that. And it's it's a little clunky. I enjoy it. They have a mobile one too. I like that one too, but it's also advanced and clunky. So we were talking about we're gonna go on this like Civil War type thing, right? Because as we hit with the BSV thing, so people broke off from BTC way back in the Dizay of 2013. It's like or 2017. I mean,
Like 20 years ago.
yeah, it feels like 20 years, but it's only 3 years. So
20 crypto years. Yeah.
yeah, it's been 84 years or whatever the reference is. But when there was a split, essentially the one thing that people all agreed on was we don't like this limited block size. We want to be able to just, have more capacity on chain. And so that's kind of what was the Bitcoin Cash zeitgeist. Now, ABC was sort of and this is where a lot of people get veins popping out when I characterize this as such, but ABC was sort of the founding team of Bitcoin Cash, as the implementation that went and did it. When I told Roger that, he was like, yeah, well, he was also maybe paid by some people as well, and some of the it's like, okay, maybe it was, but just admit it. It was kind of like the founding team, which doesn't mean you own anything necessarily, but anyway, you go do that, and then you have the great split with BSV, where people disagreed on too many of the evolutionary changes going on, essentially. Also, Craig Wright is Lord and Savior. There was like that sort of thing that split off. And now we're already seeing the little split, I wouldn't say split because there's not like a clean break, but there you could see the disagreement between the two camps in that group. And so at first I thought, it's just the Craig people. Once we get rid of that, it's just going to be Bitcoin Cash. But no, now there's been this the minor tax, as it was called for a long time. This whole idea.
Whoa, it's not a tax, bro.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, this concept of the minor tax has been around for a while. Or just basically protocol level, protocol funding from the protocol. And it hit a bunch of different iterations. I remember there was like a voluntary minor contribution from the pools. When was that in the stage of that? Do you remember?
Sorry, the voluntary.
Yeah, they were good. Like a bunch of mining pools got together, and they were at some conference, and they were going to voluntarily give like 1 or 2% of their proceeds to fund protocol development or something, and that never really happened.
It was probably a while ago. I know like something like this tax, whatever has like been talked about for a
Mm-hmm.
while, like a couple of years at least. Like people on the ABC side will say, and I agree with them on this point, is that it's been a hot topic for a while,
Mm-hmm.
and many miners have wanted it because they're sick of the free rider problem. Free riders, kind of a loaded word, but they were sick of this problem about their developers not having enough funding, so they wanted all to get together and say, how do we fund this, and how about some type of pools give their money. And so I don't know exactly like what meeting that was that you're specifically referencing, but I know it's been around for a while. But yeah.
Yeah, and there's been, back and forth on how to do it. So, in your opinion, first, because I kind of see what's being said, and I haven't done, extensive research into behind the rhetoric. But is there or was there a funding problem to begin with? That's kind of the narrative I've heard from, I guess, people like Roger, I suppose, is that there was always funding. It's just because ABC doesn't get as much as they want. It's a market signal that maybe the market doesn't like what they're doing. But there's always plenty of funding for protocol development. So do you think there is plenty of funding for protocol development? Do you think there's not enough funding? Or is it somewhere in between? Like, what's your take? Because I don't know.
Yeah, I guess the money is probably like in Bitcoin Cash somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
It is just a matter of like extracting it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and giving it to the right people. Like Roger probably says that, I mean, himself, he could probably like fund. I don't know exactly what ABC like wants to like say they're fully funded. I think it's like 3 million a year or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, Roger probably has that somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a matter of like seeing his return on it. And it's just, yeah, maybe ABC, they didn't want to give it to ABC. I know ABC themselves is like, this sounds very cliche, but they haven't been like nice to people, right? Like they haven't been appreciated. They haven't like worked together with people. I've been in chat rooms where they like literally like shit talk anybody and everybody, like the main ABC devs. They like, well, this guy, he doesn't understand game theory, and now he's like talking to this guy, and so like now he's a bad guy too. And but then they still expect money from these people, and it's like you have to work together, even though you may not agree with everything that people say. You can't just like be shit talking people all the time. And so,
not fully politically competent, we can call it that.
Right. And like, yeah, this does bring politics into crypto, but I mean, crypto itself is political. Like, you can't get rid of politics. I mean, we wouldn't be here if crypto wasn't political. Like, that's just how it goes. There'll always be nothing to talk about. And so, yeah, I think the funding is there. Like the funds are possibly there. It's just a matter of like people not trusting ABC to do what they want with it. I know they've been ringing these alarm bells like, hey, we need funding. Hey, we need funding. Hey, we need funding. And yeah, they haven't got it. And so that's kind of where we are now. They found a way to get their funding, and it's going to be on a new chain most likely. So yeah, it's kind of my take on it, I guess. I don't think it's like a whole lot of people that have the funding. So like, because Bitcoin Cash is small, like there's not a whole. I think there's definitely whales in Bitcoin Cash, but there's not a lot of whales, and so you have to kind of pander, like a better word, to these whales if you want funding. Like that's just how it is.
Whale pander.
Yeah, whale pander.
Isn't he on the Magical Crypto Friends?
Whale pander. Yes, he is. He's the the panda. Yeah, whale pander.
Yeah. Yeah, but. That's so I'm trying to figure out like the whole free rider problem thing, because when you do have something that everyone can kind of use, the protocol development, everyone sort of benefits from it. How do you extract it from other people? Now, so what my understanding is right now, some mining pools are paying ABC right now, even though the split hasn't happened. So what if every single protocol out there, every single implementation decided to have their own little mini IFP in there? And so you just automatically pay to the one that you're using, kind of thing. And, even though, and they're all sort of in consensus, this is where it gets a little bit weird about like what would actually be in consensus or not. But like, and then therefore, if say ABC starts doing stuff people don't like, then they just move it over to Bitcoin Cash node, and then the money starts going into them as the block. It's like vote live with your money sort of thing. Like, do you think that's the best solution?
I think that's what ABC thinks will happen on their chain. Because they always say, well, if this doesn't work, you can just pay somebody else. But then again, like you said, it's a matter of consensus. Like, it's going to be a different address then. And like, does ABC think that address is in consensus? You know, so, but as far as like, if that would actually work, if, you know, we have all these different teams and all of their addresses are within the consensus rules, I guess maybe, but it just brings like a whole nother like level of politics. I know crypto is politics, but this is like directly putting politics like at the protocol level with real money. And so it literally changes the incentives of it all. And I know they'll go and quote the white paper saying any changes in rules or incentives can be enforced by hash power is about the quote. They'll say, well, we're changing the incentives because that's okay because it's what you can. But I just, at the end of the day, I think it's way too drastic of a change for Bitcoin. I think it centralizes the funds. It centralizes the protocol layer. Like the best example would be if Core said we're going to take 8% of the block rewards. Like, that would never ever happen.
Yeah,
that would never happen. There'd be a huge outcry, and there is a huge outcry in Bitcoin Cash. It's just in relation to crypto, it's not that big.
Yeah. Now, my take on that, I think the outcry has nothing to do with the 8%, or very little to do with the 8%, and has almost everything to do with deciding that everyone's going to pay 8%. So when Zcash came around, right, and Zcash had like the ultimate IFB, like 20%. What was it? 20% of the block reward for the first few years, and I mean, people were just like, all right, Zcash. Someone did a Z Classic, but no one cared, because they wanted the team that was, behind Zcash. They want them to be funded, and like that worked out fine. And then at some point, when they came to re-up, so to speak, then basically electric coin companies like, well, we're not going to work on Zcash without money. And so they kind of like, I did not at all pay attention to how they got consensus on like the community wanted this. Like, how do you even determine that? But they apparently determined it. They re-upped the founder's reward, except most of it is supposedly going to some major grants foundation that no one from the Zcash Foundation or the electric coin company is involved with. And so it's like, which kind of reminds me of like the council, what are the Jedi Council of the ABC people, whatever that is.
And the Global Network Council, yes.
Yeah. So, but like if Zcash had just had like a 4% or 6% block reward going towards the electric coin company forever, and not just like 5 years, but like forever, then you have no problems really. Like it just solved. No one's like, well, it's centralized. It's like, well, that's kind of what we bought into when we did this. It's a decentralized coin run centrally by a team, and development is run centrally at least. So I don't know. Like, do you think so obviously the dev team takeover sentiment was extremely hot in late 2017. But if ABC had said, okay, we're going to do like a 3% block reward IFP. If they implemented that with the split, I'm sure there could have been too much confusion going on. People are like, all right, whatever, this is the spendable Bitcoin Cash. Oh, it's just dev, and probably wouldn't have gotten as much enthusiasm because, oh, it's just a money grab. Look, they're putting in the Coinbase thing. But it could have possibly kicked over and people would have just liked it and just stuck with it. And of course, you still would have the BSV split, but this one might not have happened. I don't know. What do you think of that theory?
Like if they had it in from day one, then obviously like that's already been expected. I mean, I don't think Bitcoin Cash would have ever gotten as big as it is now. Like I don't think it would ever grab momentum because, like you said, it would look like a cash grab. Like, okay, we're gonna fork Bitcoin, but we're gonna take some of the percentage of the block rewards to us, an unknown team at the time. Like, I don't think that ever would have flied, and I would assume at that point even more would have been put in like Segwit 2x, which is kind of a segue into the whole miner signaling thing. But if it was in the beginning, then I mean, it's there. So like, That's fine now, but I don't think it ever would have gotten any type of momentum Bitcoin Cash would if that was in from the beginning. So
Yeah, well, that hits on the miner signaling thing, which I did pay attention. I think late 2016 when I was living all on Bitcoin, and then I was like waiting an hour, 2 hours for a confirmation. I was having to skip lunch because it wouldn't go through at time, and I was just like, "This sucks." And I started using Dash. So for the last year, that year, I was like out of it. I was like, "Well, I'm using something that works now. I don't really care which way the hash world goes," but I was still watching the blocks, and it seemed like I remember it was like what 54% or something like that was like the height of, was it Bitcoin Classic or XT, whichever was the last one there. Do you remember where it was at the end?
well, 2x signaling was like over 90%.
Yeah, well, that's so right before the SegWit acquiescence. I
Okay.
think it was at like 54 or 56%. It was somewhere in the higher, somewhere in the high 50s, I think, but not quite like super majority levels.
Oh, okay.
And so that was like the signaling to increase the block size was like most people. And then, the New York agreement or whatever happened behind closed doors and all that kind of
Oh
stuff.
my God.
And they just said, look, let's make everyone happy. And of course, this is, conspiracy talk to people outside of like who aren't really part of the Bitcoin Cash world today. But basically it was never two sides disagreeing. It was, a deliberate attempt by one to get their way, and that's it. Like AstroTurf type thing. So that's why the compromise didn't work, because it wasn't a compromise. It was,
Yeah.
but briefly, I mean, signaling for SegWit 2x went to 94%. It was in the 90s.
Yeah.
And logic dictates, right, that means we're going to get SegWit and we're going to get 2 megabyte blocks. Got SegWit. What happened to the 2 megabyte blocks?
Yeah. Well, SegWit 2x obviously happened like months after Bitcoin Cash was around. I don't forget the exact month, but Bitcoin Cash was created August 1st. And then I think the 2x signaling peaked in like November or something like that. It was a couple months later. And I mean, basically, there was no software release for 2x. Like there was no software to run for 2x. So like the miners all wanted this, but there was nothing for them to actually to run.
Yeah.
And so that's a huge difference between now and then. And so as far as like relating back to current day, Bitcoin Cash node right now has like 75% of the signaling on Bitcoin Cash blocks. Bitcoin ABC just got a couple blocks signaling for them, like brand new as of like yesterday.
Yeah.
So they've had like 3 blocks so far. And so the difference is Bitcoin Cash node already has software that's being used. And yeah, it's a fork of ABC, but that makes it easy to drop into for people that have been running ABC to run Bitcoin Cash node now. And so I guess that's a huge difference. I don't think like it's valid to say that miner signaling means absolutely nothing, because like obviously it means something. They put it in there. They were not just going to put it in there for nothing.
Yeah.
So
now, miner signaling clearly indicates miner intent. Now, what we don't necessarily know if it signifies or not is, does miner signaling equal a commitment to follow through and fork the coin on whatever? And so, for example, I think that was one of those issues with the SegWit 2x thing, is they loved the idea, but they didn't quite buy the technical implementation. They got scared, and then they went with the seasoned developers, right? And through all the shit talking about the Bitcoin Core team, there's a reason why just about every single project out there backports still to Bitcoin Core. Not because they like SegWit, not because they like their ideas or like their scaling type stuff, but because there's just a lot of people ironing out bugs and optimizing the code and stuff like that. And so there's that like, we're just going to stick with what's safe. And so is ABC the safe team? Like, do people, so Bitcoin Cash node, from my understanding right now, I guess, is like, it just forked Bitcoin ABC and hasn't yet done anything, or had the opportunity to, in all fairness, right? Hasn't had the opportunity yet to show that they're competent developers.
I don't think. I mean, I don't think that's completely true.
Hmm.
Let me look at something quick. But as far as like ABC being the safe team, I mean, they just backport core. So
Yeah.
um, like that's the majority of what they have been doing, and they'll even like admit it because, and then they'll say it's because they haven't done the proper funding, and we're back to square one, right? And so, uh, as far as like them being the safe team, I guess people say that they've been doing a great job for Bitcoin Cash over the last 3 years, and um, I mean, I guess we've had a couple opcodes here and there. We got Schnorr before Core, but that was Mark Lundeberg, which who wasn't even part of ABC. And so a majority of what ABC has been doing has been backporting. So as far as like them being the safe team, like I guess if you like backports, it, and I think Cash Node wants to kind of go away from the backports a little bit and like actually like innovate. I know Jonathan Tuman just came out with something today, which is what I'm trying to find right now, um, about being like faster transaction propagation or something like that. And I know he's been doing a lot of stuff. I mean, he was the one that wrote um, the new difficulty adjustment algorithm that both ABC and Cashnote are going to be put in the assert one. And so like he's not part of ABC, and so I don't think you could really say ABC is like the safe one by any means. And then as far as like the cash node, that's always like a concern. Is like have these guys actually proved themselves? Have they proved themselves? And I guess that is a concern. Like as far as like them not being established developers. But I mean, a lot of them have already contributed to ABC many times too, and they were like previous ABC contributors, and now they're on Bitcoin Cash Node. So you could say they have. I mean, and at first, Amaury wasn't really like a known developer in 2017 either, before he
Of
made
course.
Bitcoin Cash. So yeah, I'm gonna try and find this
Yeah.
post.
So
But
that's, and ultimately the truth of the matter doesn't matter that much. It's the perception, is what does the market
right,
perceive? And that's one thing I realized is, and I've become kind of big on this concept of making people use money wherever possible. Like, for example, on social media, like people should pay a fraction of a cent to tweet, for example. And just like stuff like that. There's something about like opinions and all that kind of stuff that people always like, they always rally around their financial interests at the end of the day. You know, the market prevails, right? And so, you know, like they could say, "Oh, I support this business or that business," but at the end of the day, they go to the one that serves them the best. And so, at the end of the day, miners who are the ones who can make this kind of choice, which is kind of weird that like holders can't really choose. I mean, they could dump coins on the market, but that's it. They can't choose in the moment. But miners will ultimately back whatever project they feel comfortable and safe with their money on. And so the idea is, and of course, I believe in a head to head, miners would back ABC in a heartbeat. However, ABC is taking money from them. So that kind of evens the thing out. It's like, okay, are you going to go with the safe option here, or the safe expensive one, or are you going to go with the cheap one that could do the exact same thing, but maybe isn't as tried and true? And so that's probably like that's why that there's a disagreement. I think is that some group is trying to charge them money where the other one isn't. But again, we'll see at the end of the day. I think that people will act in their economic interests. It as far as like the actual voice that matters, which is resources, which is it kind of cracks me up because outside of that realm, there's been a lot of shit show going on, and I've loved it. Of the realm of political posturing and communications, the stars of which have undoubtedly been Vin Armani and George Donnelly. You know those guys, right?
no, never heard of him.
So
Yeah, of course, yes,
both of them have blocked me on Twitter, so I use my socks to stalk them. But
of course.
it's funny because here's two characters who I believe are very similar. I think that they, like the personality wise, all that kind of stuff, tend to be pretty similar, yet ended up on complete opposite ends of the spectrum of the debate, and are just like 100% sure and predicting absolute victory and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, and always saying like the Bolsheviks thing. Have you been called a Bolshevik, by the way?
Oh, many times.
Okay, that's just it's such a like. Can you just use an expression that more people understand right away? It's just like, what is a Bolshevik? It's like a bit of or a Bitcoin Bolshevik.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's a little a little dated of a reference maybe, but like what part of it is Bolshevik? Like, well, the fact that they use these terms over and over.
They're collectivists.
Okay, like it's a collective thingy because they collectively don't like us.
Yeah.
Like what?
Yeah,
I don't know. It
exactly.
just I'm scratching my head. And then
It's summed up. Yeah, they
yeah,
collectively don't like us. Yes.
but I will take an opportunity of yes, Great Wolf. Finn did block me on Twitter a long time ago because I said something that he didn't agree with, and that's what he does. But now George Donnelly unblocked me so he could yell at me because this fellow, for those who don't know, and I take every opportunity I can to say something. He used to move. He used to live here in New Hampshire, where I live. He was part of the Free State Project, and he ran like the Facebook group, and he started using it to promote abject political candidates and stuff like that. And then the Free State Project, which is a nonprofit, said, yo, you can't do that. This is a apolitical movement of just like move and promote liberty however you want. And besides tax exempt, we're going to lose that. And he just rage quit and deleted the whole group and made everyone start from zero. So people hated him from that.
Didn't know that one.
Then he migrated over to Dash, which was quite the shit show because pretty quickly everyone who worked with him grew to hate his guts. But that's just like you could say personality conflict. He started basically there was a different adoption teams that were signing up merchants, and he would send his people to other businesses that were onboarded by other teams, complementary teams, but apparently competing in his mind, and bully them into trying to get them to change their point of sale software so it would count for one of his. So he was like, and like they would give calls and stuff to like, hey, there's some guys here. They're like some thugs showed up and are using like physical intimidation. Are they Dash people? What the hell is going on? He was doing weird stuff like that, and some leaked messages from his former cronies put out a they leaked a message where he's just saying like, what dirt can we get on these other teams so we can like replace them and stuff. So that was all that stuff. And by the end of it, before he got run out of town, he actually was his transaction tracker of all like the hundreds and hundreds of merchants around Colombia that he supposedly onboarded. After he was basically taking his subsidy and paying people to buy their lunch for them so it'd count as like transactions. And as soon as the money dried up, there was like 2 transactions a day at most. And I have those old screenshots like of all that. It just like he did nothing for adoption. Just like it was all a ruse. And then as soon as he left, I messaged Roger and was like, yo, I don't know for sure, but the next logical step is he's going for Bitcoin Cash. It could be Decred or PivX or something like that has a treasury. But just so you know, and guess what? I hate being right. So he's out there being George's going to George. And yeah, everyone is going to learn eventually.
Yeah, I mean, his flip starter went through.
It worked. Yep. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
He promised a lot of deliverables out of that. So,
Well, we'll see what happens. The reason he's back in the news is his YouTube channel got shut down for a copyright claim, which
yeah.
I don't really care too much. Like as far as like copyright claims, I don't really care about IP anyway. But it seems like he did a lot of work for Bitcoin ABC, and then before he stabbed him in the back, he took the videos and is trying to use them for his own stuff, and they're being petty back and saying, you know what, screw you, we're going to take down your YouTube channel. So it's a little petty right now.
Specifically, what happened with that situation is that he did like a fork day live stream, like the 3-year anniversary, and it was on ABC's channel, but apparently he didn't work for ABC anymore at that point. And so it was never in his contract to do this live stream on August 1st. And so he did this live stream, interviewed a lot of people actually like during the stream. And then he like officially stopped working for them publicly a couple days later. And then he started uploading these videos that were originally on the live stream. I think like the whole live stream was on ABC's channel. and then he uploaded them all to his channel, and then ABC started saying, "Hey, this is ours, this is ours, this is ours." And then after 3 copyright strikes, his whole YouTube channel got deleted. So
Yeah, which had like
so
2
now he's saying he's
followers,
getting
but whatever.
lawyers. Yeah, now he's saying he's getting lawyers involved because, contracts and everything. And nobody's actually seen this contract. So he's been talking a lot about it. So I don't know if it's just pushing the George brand at this point with the Bitcoin Cash. But yeah, it's ABC has unleashed a monster onto Bitcoin Cash. And now it's backfiring on them at least. So
Yeah. This is, I don't know. The thing is, I do think, in the understatement of the century in the live chat here, Great Wolf says, "Is it just me, or does George seem to have a poor reputation with those who's worked with him? Why is that?" Oh, well, pick your thing. And it's funny because he got, like, most recently when I said something of this effect on Twitter, when I said just about everyone he's ever like worked with has, regretted it. And, from Free State Project to Dash to now ABC, and then who knows in the future. And then he unblocked me just to yell at me, which I love it when people do that. And he just says, "You claim falsely that I worked for the Free State Project." Again, I just said anyone who's ever worked with them from blah, blah, blah. "Therefore, you're a liar. What else is he lying about?" I'm probably reblocked by now. I didn't check. But anyway, that's enough on George. In fact, that's probably enough on this whole stream. You got your own one to do, right?
Yeah. It's my 100th episode today. So
Awesome.
it's probably going to go for a while. So if you want to join me, I'm probably going to take a 5-minute break here and then start that boy up. So
yeah, I'll definitely join. So where can people find more about what you do, and which is just a segue because you're about to do this like right now?
Yeah, you can just on Twitter, Collin Enstad, or just your YouTube, Collin Enstad. My channel should be up there. And I'll go with YouTube and Twitch for this guy. Usually I don't stream. Usually I do like 30-minute to. So my show in general is I usually alternate going like a show all by myself where I talk about topics, current events, all that, and then I'll do like an interview another day during the week. And those usually last for an hour, and then it's mostly centered around Bitcoin Cash, of course. Sometimes I venture out a little bit, but it's usually centered around Bitcoin Cash. And that's about it for Calling It Like It Is. So I actually have a Rocket League tournament tonight that we play for Bitcoin Cash. So it should be fun.
Fantastic. Well, I'll join you over there in a second. So for everyone watching, thanks a ton for joining me. Make sure to subscribe to the channel because you might be new and you might just be like, "Oh, wow, this guy actually does some cool stuff." And as always, cointr.ee/the desert links, not the desert Linux. Don't worry. Then you can leave just because it's not a live chat doesn't mean I won't get it. You can leave a donation with a message and I will like tweet you out. I do it to everyone. So you could definitely do that. And I'm going to hit the end credits that have the whole, sponsor linked stuff. And you can go in the description of the video after it's live, not live, but after it's up, and go click on that. Or if you're listening to this on the podcast, the audio one, show notes. So everyone go follow Collin. He Collins it like it is. And head over to his stream and we're going to have a good one. Bye everyone. See you in a couple weeks.